Hey YouTube, it's Adrian. Just before we get you to this video, do me a favor and head over to pageantlaunch.com. We are starting the world's first dedicated pageant review site, and I would love for you to join our launch team. All you need to do is put in your email address. It's completely free. We are looking to make a pageant industry that is safe, transparent, and fair. I know it's like that most of the time, but over the last year, it's become very evident that it's not like that all of the time. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, put in your email address, and let's get you to this.
Hi everyone, my name is Angel Bhathal and I'm your Miss Global Canada, and here is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project, and I am here with Angel Bhathal, actually Dr. Angel Bhathal, who is Miss Global Canada 2019. Angel, welcome to the show. Or Dr. Bhathal, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Adrian.
It's a pleasure. Now, I was just mentioning to Angel before, first off, that is an epic name for pageantry. I just feel like that is there any backstory behind why your parents chose to name you Angel? Or is it Angel or is it Angel?
You know, it is Angel. I think that my parents decided to name me that to have really high standards and to make sure that I really had to set the bar. And I know it's so funny, growing up when I was younger, I wasn't really in love with my name. I thought it was, couldn't find a pen with my name on it. But when I got older, I really started to appreciate the uniqueness of my name and even just everything that the word angel means. And I feel like in my own life, personally, I've had so many guardian angels. So it's really nice to have that name. And I think that I try to align everything that I do with the name as well. So whether it's providing compassion and care to my patients, I think that every single person needs an angel sometimes in their lives. And I think that it's a very admirable name, and I try my best to live up to it.
Can you give us a backstory as to your culture and your parents? Because if I read correctly, you're not, I mean, you're living in Canada at the moment, but you're not from Canada originally. So can you give us a background as to your family roots?
Sure, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Canada. However, both my parents were born and raised in India, and they immigrated to Canada to provide an opportunity, education, and a life just filled with so much more than just the basics of surviving, but really to really embrace every single opportunity. As a Canadian woman, I have been very lucky in terms of pursuing my education, pursuing my career, pursuing leadership roles, and I'm so fortunate for everything, all the sacrifices that my parents made in order to provide myself and my sister with all the opportunities that we have.
And can you, just because I mentioned to you that I've been to Canada before, how do you pronounce about?
About?
Okay,
like
you don't have the you don't have the about. You're not the French Canadians, the ones that they make fun of. That's
no. However, I do.
Okay.
I do speak French fluently. I was in French immersion since I was 5.
Oh wow, okay, that's a hidden talent. So if I take you back, we recorded your intro before, and guys watching, if you have any questions for Angel, put them in the comments and I'll circle back. But that intro that we just did, where I got you to say your name, your title, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project, do you think you'd be able to do that in French?
I could try, definitely.
Give it a go, because I've had one person do it in Spanish, that was Katrina. One person do it in Welsh, that was Gabriella Dukes. So I would love to have a French one to add to the collection, so give it a go.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Bonsoir tout le monde. Je m'appelle Angel Bhathal et je suis la Miss Global Canada.
Okay, I did a bit of French in school, so I can understand that part. So that's cool. Angel, give us a background as to your pageant, like how you got involved in pageantry to begin with, and your pageant experience so far.
Yeah, definitely. So I got involved in pageantry probably 18 years ago when I was still a teenager, and it's just something that I thought that I would have fun with, but growing up and growing older, I started to really recognize it as so much more than that. Really an opportunity to be self-reflective, to really dedicate yourself to personal and professional improvement in so many different areas. I have competed in several of Canada's Grand Slam pageants and have placed in Miss Universe Canada, Miss World Canada, and Miss Earth Canada. I am now, I've met so many amazing, incredible, well-rounded women through these competitions, and it definitely, pageantry has a very near and dear spot in my heart. And although in those divisions, I actually competed in all those pageant systems in my last years, I did age out because I didn't come and join and do those pageants until probably my final year of age. And so I also did the Galaxy International system as well, and I was second runner-up international for that. And so this is kind of near the end of my pageant career, and I just, global has so many different aspects that really resonate with who I am today as a woman and the places that I'm in my life. And I love the diversity that Miss Global represents. And so it just was very fitting for me to do Miss Global at this stage right now in my pageantry career.
Now, you are not the first Canadian. You're the first doctor, but you're not the first Canadian that I've interviewed. I did interview Elizabeth Marnock, who was Teen Galaxy for Canada. But you did, so I want to get a little bit into the Canadian pageant scene, because I think it's really interesting to me. Obviously, there's the American pageant scene. I'm hugely into the UK pageant scene. Then there's the Australian pageant scene. But I guess to start with, you mentioned the Grand Slam pageants in Canada. So which ones are specifically considered the Grand Slam pageants in Canada?
So when I was, during the times of my competition during the years before that, I was in the age brackets of a lot of these larger systems. We had Miss Earth Canada, Miss World Canada, Miss Universe Canada, Miss Supranational Canada came out afterwards. I've already aged out. However, those are probably the three biggest Grand Slams during the years of 2010 to 2013.
Right. And can you give us an idea as to what the Canadian pageant scene is like? Because obviously you're close to America, so I'm going to imagine that you have some similarities in pageantry to America. But on the other hand, you're like UK and Australia, you're part of the Commonwealth, you're Canada.
Absolutely.
So how big is the pageant scene in Canada, and is it similar? Have you noticed any similarities or differences in your time competing?
Absolutely. So I think that with Canada, our systems are definitely, if you think about Canada, although geographically we are quite a large country, we actually are quite small in population. And so, I think that correlates with the aspect that our pageant systems, they are growing, but probably not as large as what the US has started off with. But we're definitely expanding. We're starting to see a lot more systems. And each and every year, it's amazing how much we're starting to have different national competitions, and we have a lot of front runners as well for Canada, especially when you look over the years for Miss Universe Canada, or a lot of our representatives have been so successful in competing at Miss Universe on the international stage. So although we are a smaller country in population, I think that there's so much diversity, and I think Canada is really becoming a front runner in pageantry.
Right. As we like to say, tiny but mighty, as one of my friends likes to say. Angel, give us an idea as to, I've already mentioned that you're a doctor, so when you're not in pageant mode, what tends to fill your life up with in terms of career and spare time? If you have any, most pageant girls don't, but in terms of your career and your spare time, what keeps you busy?
Yeah. That's a really great question. And I have to say traveling is probably what keeps me the busiest. I ensure that I go to a new country every year. And I think that it's not even just enjoying traveling. It's not just discovering cultures and history, but I think you learn a lot about yourself personally as well when you are traveling, and you learn a lot about others and your relationships, interactions. I love to travel. I'd have to say that every single year I try to go somewhere new, and it's taught me a lot about myself.
Can you remember all the countries that you have been to?
I can try my best. Yeah, I can try to list all of them. So I've been to China, I've been to Japan, been to Thailand, I've been to Cambodia, I've been to Vietnam, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Australia. I really liked Australia.
Oh, wow, cool.
South Africa. South Africa is really amazing too. There's just such a diverse dynamic geographically. Cuba, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Italy. I think I'm going to be listing quite a few, but I have been to every single continent except for Antarctica, and I would love to go to Antarctica, but my friends keep convincing me that you're from Winnipeg, it's probably very similar, so you don't need to go there.
What, are you afraid of the cold, are you? You don't want to go to Antarctica because it's going to be cold?
Yeah. But I think I could survive it because I'm a Winnipegger, so.
Okay, we were discussing this before we went live. Just how cold exactly does it get? And I asked this because I have been to mid-Northwest America. I've been to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the middle of their winter, and it got to 20 degrees Celsius under. So cold that you could take boiling water, throw it in the air, and it would turn into ice. So exactly how cold, and I almost died doing that. So how cold are we talking in Winnipeg?
Like -50, like really cold. -50, so -20 is nothing. It's a piece of cake.
Wow. Celsius though, right? Not
Right.
Fahrenheit.
Right. Well, what's with wind chill, right? So we have the temperature,
Right.
and then with wind chill, it does get colder.
Jeez. Okay. So what do you guys do when it's that cold? Because me being the stupid Australian, I went outside because they told me if I threw boiling water up, it was going to come down as snow. So I went out, forgot to wear my thermals, went out, and I just started. Literally, it was so cold, it was painful, and then you feel nothing because you've gone numb. So how do you guys go outside and do anything when it's that cold?
Well, I think the secret is investing in a really great winter jacket and a parka. Additionally, stocking up in your food so that you don't have to leave the house.
But what do you do about your face? This was the thing that I could never work out, because your face, you can't go around covering it. So what do you do about your face?
I just internally cry about it.
Because every time I came back inside, my face was all red and it looked like I had been crying. It was just, yeah, I'm not a fan of the cold. But moving on from Winterpeg, as you called it, tell us more about your career. So day-to-day life, obviously we were discussing before, you got your bachelor's and then you got your doctorate in pharmacy. Mm-hmm. So in your daily life, what does your career look like? Because it sounds like it keeps you busy.
Oh, it for sure does. So I've actually, I've really just been somebody who's always looking for a challenge, looking for a change. I've progressed in my career and held many different roles. So in 2011, I started off working as a registered pharmacist. Really enjoyed that, really loved providing compassionate care to my patients, but I was looking for more of a challenge. So in a year's worth of time after graduating, I became a pharmacy manager. I managed a team. I precepted pharmacy students. I did that for several years, and then I transitioned into pursuing my doctorate in pharmacy. And following that, I also worked in the hospital. I got to work in acute care, so worked with different patients, whether it was in acute care and in emergency, neurology, orthopedics, plastics. We had a variety of different acute patients that would come into our hospital at the Health Science Center. I've moved from Winnipeg and I relocated to Toronto, and I'm working a senior director role. So I wanted to pursue some more leadership. So I think that whenever you're able to take an opportunity, even though it's completely different than something that you've ever done before, opportunity is exciting and it really allows us to grow.
Yeah, you go with it, you run with it. Is there a story as to why you chose pharmacy to begin with?
Mm-hmm. Being a caregiver for my grandmother, I really appreciated the aspect of being able to provide healthcare that was compassionate, individualized, and treated patients based on relationships versus just focusing on one core component. And having experiences with pharmacists as a young woman, I really appreciated how you could really make a difference, because as a pharmacist, you're really a frontline and you're accessible to patients. It's easy to walk into a pharmacy and to be able to talk to your pharmacist directly. And I really like that aspect of the career. And I find myself a people's person. I like to be around the public. I like to be in social settings because I think it's very valuable to build rapport with people and to build relationships. And so I thought that pharmacy really gave me the opportunity to do that. But in addition to that, I am a bit of a science geek as well. So I think the career is fitting.
I'm just going to turn to the Facebook comments for a sec. Sandal Taylor has said, "Hello, beautiful. How are you?" And Chelsea Cameron Horner has said, "What a gorgeous woman. You have a lovely smile."
Thank you. That's so kind.
Guys, if you have any questions, put them in. Often what happens in these interviews, people just give you supportive comments, but they forget to ask questions, so I have to remind them. You mentioned you're a science geek. Can you tell me what the geekiest fact you know is in science? What's the geekiest thing you know?
Okay, well, I mean, some of things are, knowing the half-life of different medications, knowing how long it takes for them to metabolize out of
Jeez,
the body.
half-life. Right, okay.
Maybe you don't want me to put you to sleep tonight. But I mean, it's so funny because I never even think before pharmacy, being in elementary school, I would always take my science fair projects so seriously. And it came to the point where every year I would always have a few people ask to be my science fair partner, but I think it was more so because they wanted to win a medal, not because they wanted to be my partner.
I was going to say, is it just because they wanted you to do the hard work for them and they could ride on your coattails?
Exactly. Yeah. But it was fun.
Okay, so science fair project, this is fascinating to me because we don't have that in Australia. And I actually was really good at science in school as well. I wouldn't say that I'm a science geek, but I won a medal in Australia for coming first in chemistry. So I want to ask, in terms of like science fair projects, have you done any really cool ones? Because I've seen so many cool things like on TV, but have you done any cool ones?
Yeah, I did do several. There was one where I did based on this is remember, this is me just in elementary school, so I'm quite young. But I did one where I was studying the different types of meats in the different supermarkets, and I measured which supermarket had the leanest meat and which one had the most fat, and so I was providing nutritional advice.
Yep.
And then
I was just going to say, you probably don't want to publish those results because you can actually get into a lot of trouble.
No, I won't. I don't even remember the results either. And then there's other ones that I did where I did one where it was studying the effect of dandelions as antibiotics, and experimenting and measuring the growth of bacteria. So I've done many different types of science projects, and it's very interesting because now when I think back, I'm like, that's so neat that I was able to do that at such an early age.
That's amazing. So there are a few things that are going viral on social at the moment. One of them is the Mentos and Diet Coke thing. And one of them is also this exothermic reaction where, I can't believe I've used the word exothermic in an interview, but an exothermic reaction where they have this solution of stuff and they pour a little other tube in it and the whole thing just turns into this giant thing of foam. Like I'm talking about, it becomes like a swimming pool worth of foam. So my first question to you, and if you don't know the answer to this, it's fine. Can you explain the Mentos and Diet Coke thing? Why does that happen?
I would probably have to watch it. As a healthcare professional, I always need my resources and references before I provide an answer.
Yeah, I can't understand it. They put the Mentos in this diet. I don't know why it has to be Diet Coke.
Can we watch it right now and see what happens?
I can't bring it onto here. I wish I could. But what happens is they put it in. They don't even have to shake it up, and it literally becomes a rocket. So much carbon dioxide comes out that they will turn the bottle. If you imagine a bottle of soda and you turn it upside down, and the force of the soda coming out is so strong that the bottle shoots straight into the air.
It sounds like it has a lot to do with the pressure, the atmospheric pressure of the gases.
Yeah. I just couldn't understand exactly what the chemical maybe I don't want to know the chemical reaction between a Mentos and Diet Coke. I don't drink a lot of soda. But I want to circle back to the aged care that you mentioned. Now, in Australia, that is actually a huge issue at the moment because we have, I think by world standards, exceedingly good healthcare. We have free healthcare, and that's a huge thing that I think we take for granted a lot. But because of that, the population is aging, and it's aging faster than aged care centers can really deal with. Yeah. And there have been a few, let's say, scandals or unfortunate incidents where the elderly have really not received the respect, first off, and then the treatment, secondly, that they deserve. So do you have a similar situation in Canada at all?
I think that it's, in terms of the demographic of it, there's definitely an aging population where they are waiting to be transitioned from the hospital to home care or to a long-term care. And so there are wait times. So definitely we do have some barriers in being able to ensure that we transition the elderly patients. However, I think that our government is pretty involved in terms of ensuring that we do have resources. But I think with any society right now today, we are going to experience that shift in an aging population not having enough long-term care facilities, resources. Additionally, we're having a lot of healthcare cuts, so we're having cuts in
Right.
hours for nurses, etc. So I think that is a real and relevant issue everywhere globally right now. We do our best to work with the resources that we have in healthcare, but I absolutely agree that is a struggle. And even with my grandmother, I was her
Mm.
care provider. So I think it does put a lot more on the families as well. And that could also be challenging as well, right? I mean, the whole aspect
Yeah.
of there's caregiver burden, and that's a real thing as well. But I mean, I think that as healthcare professionals, when we could provide support and care as much as possible, recognizing and realizing that this elderly patient may not actually have a family member or they may not have a support system to help them. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
go the extra mile as a healthcare professional to ensure that you're at least helping to the capacity, even if it's just as an individual.
Yeah. Are there any changes that you'd like to see made in the Canadian healthcare system to help prevent people fall through those gaps?
I think a lot of it has to do with healthcare resources and efficiencies. I think that we are in a society and a system where technology has really advanced, but we don't see the full utilization of technology in healthcare. I think that if we were
Mm.
able to manage and put in more resources for technology in terms of completing administrative tasks, we would be able to really alleviate a lot of our financial resources from administrative tasks and maybe put them
Yep.
back into developing more resources, more facilities for this population.
Yeah. We have a similar issue here where government tends to lag a little bit behind in terms of technology and leveraging that to its full use. Angel, you mentioned that you love to travel, but just in your free time when I'm imagining you can't travel every night when you
Yeah.
when you get home from work.
Every other weekend. I'm just kidding.
Every That's still not bad. I mean, at least you're closer to things than we are here in Australia. What sort of hobbies do you have? What do you do to de-stress?
I love jazz music. I'm a huge foodie, so I love to try new
All right.
restaurants. And I am a huge little event planner. I love to organize social events with my friends. I love to bring people together. Part of planning, I've really, really enjoyed it. It's so nice because being involved in pageantry, you also get to involve
Mm.
charitable and plan charity events and community events as well. So I think planning is definitely something I really enjoy, whether it's for any type of community or charity initiatives, planning social events with my friends, planning trips. I love to plan.
You don't see the irony in that your relaxing hobby is to plan?
I know. It
To
just
plan
makes
the
me
next busy
sad.
thing?
Yeah.
Typical pageant girl, or even in your downtime, you're planning the thing
Yeah.
that's going to remove the downtime. But you did mention food, and I have to ask because I've not had an opportunity. Canadian food. What is a good Canadian dish to try?
Well, you've probably tried it if you went to Quebec. You must have had poutine, no?
Yeah, no. Okay. I don't know if you're a fan of poutine, but I'm going to have to say, look, poutine is French fries topped with, it's like cheese curds and gravy. And I'm not super healthy, but I'm relatively healthy. My girlfriend was Canadian and she was so excited to show it to me. And she brought out this soggy, cold mess of French fries and cheese curds and gravy. And I almost was sick. But is there anything else apart from the poutine?
It's an acquired taste. I think if you try it again, you might change your mind.
Mm, We'll see. Is there anything else that I can try that won't give me a heart attack?
I'm trying to think. I mean, you've obviously heard of our maple syrup, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
super famous. Yeah. That I was told the best maple syrup comes in cans. Actually, I think her family had a maple syrup. I don't know if you guys call it a farm, but literally, where you tap it and then you can see the maple syrup coming out. But it sounds like if I am going to try this poutine, I'll have to look you up and get some
Yeah.
cholesterol medication from you so I can have the poutine and not have a heart attack.
We'll also incorporate some diet and exercise afterwards as well to balance it all out.
it'll be a lot of exercise, I can tell you that much. But in terms of you heading over for global, what are you most looking forward to? How's your prep going? I mean, we're just over a month out. You said it's on the 4th of January that you're leaving. So we've got maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks, but obviously a lot of that's taken up by Christmas. So how's the preparation going and what are you looking forward to?
The preparation is going well, but I think that for me, preparation is something that it's something that goes on over years, especially when you dedicate yourself to pageantry. It's not an overnight process. Additionally, I think that coming into this system and coming into doing a pageant this January, I feel like everything has been very organic and I feel very relaxed, at ease, but also very self-aware of myself as well as what I need to work on as well. That's key there. But what am I looking forward to? I am looking forward to meeting the women at the pageant. I think that when I reflect on any of the pageants that I've done, I've met some of my best friends there. There is just so much of an opportunity to meet women that inspire you, that are multifaceted, and you could really come together. And pageantry is something that is so interesting where each and every one of you are competing individually. However, you could really come together and bring each other together and support each other, not even just during pageant week, but beyond the pageant as well. And having those lifelong friendships are so meaningful.
And I think because I have interviewed the 3 UK global girls. I'm just trying to remember way back when. But I don't think I've asked. If I have, I've forgotten. What are the different sections that you'll be competing in global? Because every pageant is slightly different.
Yeah, so there will be interview, there will be evening gown, there will be swimsuit. There's also international costume as well, which is going to be very fun, and obviously general participation as well.
Can you give us any hints as to your costume?
Well, it's still being made, so.
Okay. All right. That's always, I didn't realize this before I started interviewing pageant girls, but the national costume tends to be one of the most closely guarded secrets that a pageant girl will keep.
For sure. And I think a part of it is, too, is that each and every one of the costumes are going to be very unique because they represent your country. And so I think it takes a lot of creativity, a lot of brainstorming. This is not a costume that you just go to the store and buy. Yeah, you have to put a lot of thought and dedication to it. So I can appreciate that. And also probably some of the girls are probably trying to work on their costumes still too, so they're still trying to figure it out. So maybe that's why it's a little bit of secrecy, but it's also a little bit of still to be determined.
Hasn't been finished yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned that you started maybe a little bit. Well, you said you've been doing this for 18 years, wasn't it? Pageantry.
Yeah.
18 years, and you said you've just sort of aged up. So, in that sense, have you given any thought to what lies ahead for you in terms of pageantry once global is finished?
You know what? One thing I really enjoy about pageantry is since I've been a little bit further in my career in pageantry, I've really taken a newfound love into mentoring future pageant contestants. I've actually mentored several contestants across our country, whether it's British Columbia, the East Coast, and it's so interesting because I find it just as rewarding as competing for yourself is when you could help another woman achieve some of her goals, to help her refine herself. That is something that I probably will continue to do, is really to mentor other young Canadian women in pageantry here.
Right, perfect. Okay, just before we go to the final 10 questions, Angel, do you have anyone that you want to say thanks to or just give a shout out to for supporting you, not just through your pageantry journey, but just in general life as well?
Yes, I actually want to give a shout out to my 3 little nieces, to Jackie, Jasmine, and Josie. I hope you're watching, and I just want to say I really miss you, and I hope all is going well. Mwah.
Three J's, is it? Jasmine,
Yes.
What was it? Jasmine, Josie, and
Jackie. Yeah.
Jackie. 3 J's.
We have a lot of estrogen in our family.
That's good to know. Well, you could have potentially 3 future pageant queens. What's the sort of what's the age gap there? How old are they?
They're a few years apart. So we have 2. We have 4. We have 8.
Right, so probably a few years off, but a lot of them start young. So you could potentially keep it in the family, have 3 future pageant queens.
Be their little pageant coach.
Okay, perfect. We are going to go to the final 10 questions. Are you familiar with them, or will this be a surprise?
I have watched some of your other interviews, so if they are the same, I might know some of them. But
They will be the same. They are always the same. I don't think I will ever change them. I've done them so many times now. It's just because it gives an interesting point of comparison to see who comes up with the weirdest answers, the funniest answers, the most deep and meaningful answers. I think it gives a good insight into a person's personality. So the first question is, what is your favorite word?
I would have to say my favorite word is absolutely. I don't know if you've heard me say it yet today, but it's something that is a word that really shows conviction. It shows that you're supportive, shows that you're enthusiastic, and I think that's very much like my personality. So I love to use the word absolutely.
I think you said it once or twice, but it hasn't been noticeable. Like you haven't said it every second sentence, so that's probably a good thing.
That's good. Just trying to.
Okay. Question 2. What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word. Well, I mean, I think that there's a lot of words that you could not like at all, and I think it would be anything that's a discriminatory word, whether it's a discriminatory word towards race, to gender, anything like that. I feel like those are always words that kind of it always hits you hard at the heart, and being somebody who always wants to advocate for others. I really dislike hearing any type of word that's a form of discrimination.
For sure. Okay, question 3. In life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
I would say traveling.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Question 4. What turns you off?
The cold.
Coming from Canada, it's so ironic. Why don't you just move somewhere warmer? But I can understand you love Canada.
Well, I was actually told that Toronto was warmer than Winnipeg, which it is a bit, but it's still not that warm. Maybe I need to move to Australia.
Well, you mentioned that you've been to Australia. Whereabouts in Australia did you go?
I went to Sydney. I also went to Brisbane, and I went to a small little town that was near the edge of the Great Barrier Reef. I can't remember what it was called, but I feel like it started with a number. No, it wasn't. It was like Cairns was up here, but it was right at the tip of the Great Barrier Reef. And that was actually in 2010, and that was the year of the flood. And I remember we actually ended up, getting stuck there, and it was really scary. And I was really devastating that year. There was so much flooding.
Come to Australia, they said, where everything tries to kill you, literally. Does it ever get too hot for you? I mean, how hot are we talking about? Obviously, you hate the cold, but what's the ideal temperature for you?
Oh, it's never too hot. No.
Never too hot. I was going to say, because if you come back to Australia at the moment, we're having some exceedingly 40-degree-Celsius days. It's properly hot.
Yeah, I remember being there, and I actually was at Fraser Island, and it was so hot, and it's so spread out, right? So you get the sun rays just hitting you so hard. I think I've never actually burnt and I've never blistered before, but that was the first time I ever experienced that in my life. It was at Fraser Island in Australia.
Yeah. If you've never been to Fraser Island, you don't know what Angel's talking about. The sand there is that really, really white, can't believe it, not Photoshop white sand. So it does reflect a lot of the sun, but it is just so beautiful there because you've got the view of the ocean. And I like yourself, I tan. I don't tend to burn or blister. I'm very lucky. But if you do spend a whole day out there and you've come from a Canadian winter, that's probably not going to go so well for you. Yeah. Okay, question 5. What sound or noise do you love?
What do I love? I love jazz music, so any sound that's relaxing, because I don't think I do it enough, because I always keep myself busy. So just any type of soothing music is always a sound that I love to hear.
And question 6, what sound or noise do you hate?
I would say anything startling. So whether it's thunder or somebody just barging into my office without saying anything that startles me. I just like to focus so hard that when I hear a sound that's startling, it always startles me. I'm a very jumpy person, let's just say.
So what sort of reaction would you have if someone was to pop up behind you now and burst a balloon? Do you jump? Do you faint?
Yeah,
What do you do?
I'd probably end up hitting my knee against the table and bruising myself. I actually I have a few bruises already, so I was like, where did this come from? Oh yeah, that's right.
Really, from jumping because someone appeared behind you and you banged your knees on the table? Okay. You don't have too much coffee, do you? And you're very antsy, very jumpy. There might be medication that you can give yourself for that. But moving on. Question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
If I could have any superpower, it would be the power of healing. And I think that's very fitting being a pharmacist. There's so many times where in my practice, I've had patients with terminal illness, and being able to heal is something that would be so powerful. And I mean, I really recognize that, we can't change the outcome for many health conditions, but I think that if I had the opportunity to be a healer as a superpower, that would be amazing.
Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
You know what? I really do enjoy my career, but I think that any opportunity where I get to mentor and to really provide even coaching. So although I do that in Canada for delegates here, I would love to do that full time. I think that would be very rewarding. It's something that I definitely am passionate about. I'm passionate about pageantry. I'm passionate about helping others in their personal development. And if I could do that as a full-time career, that'd be amazing.
Perfect. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. But I mean, you've got an amazing career as it is. So
thank you. I do love my career as well. Yes.
Question 9. What job or occupation other than your own would you definitely not like to attempt?
I don't think I could be a truck driver. I think my eyes are not very good. I have astigmatism, and I can't imagine driving for extended periods of time. So that would probably be it.
Right. Okay. Do you guys, because it's so cold, do you guys get black ice over there?
It depends on where you are. This is going to be my first winter in Toronto. Being in Winnipeg,
right, okay.
Yeah, you get patches of snow that compact, and it gets pretty icy. But I don't think it's black. It's basically you could see the white layers of snow.
So you can see it.
But maybe I'll follow up after the end of the summer, after the end of the winter with you to let you know how my first Toronto winter was.
Does it ever get icy enough? And again, this is because of my time in the mid-northwest. Does it ever get icy enough where when you go outside, you have to waddle around because otherwise you just go gliding down the street?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. I think.
How do you handle that?
I usually fall once a winter. It's kind of hard not to.
I'm not sure that's called handling it, but I had Australian shoes and everyone's telling me you had the wrong shoes. I didn't realize until I was trying to walk down the street, maybe 50 feet to the cafe, and I realized I couldn't go anywhere without slipping. So I gradually just slid down the hill towards the cafe. So what do you do? Do you guys have specialized footwear for when it's icy out, or do you just not go out, or do you crawl around on, I don't know, do you ice skate down the street?
All of the above.
All of the above. I'll need to bring my ice skates next time. Okay, final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Where have you been, Angel? Just kidding. Just because my name is Angel.
I was going to say, you have the perfect name to...
Yeah. Was this a question, just a standard question, the last one?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's actually one of the ones that a lot of people find harder to answer because they come up, they feel it's one of those questions that has to have a really deep and meaningful response. And if that's the way you choose to take it, that's fine. But it's one of the harder ones to answer.
Yeah. Sorry, my answer was a little cheesy.
No, I like the cheese. I love the cheese.
Okay,
I don't love poutine, but I do like the cheese.
You like cheese, but you don't like poutine. Interesting.
Yeah, well, there are certain things that are nice in separation. Doesn't mean that I want them all together. I mean, like I like a glass of red wine and maybe some cheese and mango and prawns, but I wouldn't want to have them like all together. I mean, this just, you can't mix them. I guess, Angel, just before I let the audience go, where, in terms of, we've discussed your pageantry future and mentoring other young women, where do you see yourself maybe in 5-10 years' time, just in life in general?
Very good question. I think in 5 to 10 years, I would like to expand in my career in leadership. Additionally, I would love to be able to continue to develop, not only personally, but even my own business. I would love to have an organization that's really dedicated to that mentorship that I was talking about earlier, and hope to have traveled to many, many more countries. And hopefully I'll be able to say I've been able to discover and to really explore 5 to 10 more countries in 5 to 10 years.
Perfect. Which country is next on the list?
I haven't been to Morocco yet. I'd love to go there. Let's see where else. Turkey would be amazing. Croatia. I told you I wanted to go to Antarctica, but I have a feeling that might be delayed. And let's see what else. I mean, I think that even going to Fiji or Sri Lanka, that would be amazing as well. There's so many places that I'd love to explore, but I think the battle is when you are older, it's hard to find time.
Yeah, you have to make the time, as they say, if you want to make it happen. Otherwise, everything else keeps you too busy.
Absolutely.
Well, Angel, look, thank you for your time and best of luck over in Mexico in January.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adrian. It was a pleasure.
Likewise. I'll keep you on the line for just a second, but thanks to everyone for watching. Oh, Maria Torres has said, hey, Angel. So,
hi, Maria.
Thanks to everyone for watching, and we will speak to you next time. Hey guys, it's Adrian again. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and remember to head over to pageantlaunch.com and join the launch team for our pageant review site. All you need to do is put in your email address. Thanks, and speak to you next time.